Okay. Our study tonight is in Daniel chapter 2. Now, last week we got Daniel and his 3 friends into Babylon. So can someone remind me how they got there? What happened that they're in Babylon? And what is modern day Babylon? If we were to identify Babylon today, where would it be?
Iraq.
All right, southern Iraq. And how did they get there?
They were force marched.
Forced march?
Let's see what it's like over here, because it keeps shaking.
Okay, whatever. Jerusalem was invaded by Babylon. And was this God's will?
Yes.
And why was it God's will?
Because Israel kept sinning against God and going to other gods.
Okay,
And
now
the
is there
Sabbaths,
okay.
not observing the Sabbaths.
Year, right?
Year, yeah.
Yeah. Specifically, remember when God spoke from Mount Sinai and what we call the Decalogue, the 10 words, the 4th word that he spoke was to remember the Sabbath day. And that's a sign of the Mosaic covenant, by the way. If you look in Exodus 31, I believe it tells you that it's the sign of the Mosaic covenant, of the old covenant. But along with that, God gave in Leviticus 23 the various commandments concerning the feast days. And when we read about the feast days, it begins with what we call now the weekly Sabbath. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation, means a gathering. You shall do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all of your dwelling places. And then if we turn over to Exodus 25, remember these are expansions of it as they explain each one of the feast. And then it talks about the tabernacle. And in Exodus 25, we have the commandment concerning the Sabbath year and the year of Jubilee. And we didn't cover those last week, but you have a Bible there? Do you have it, Exodus 25? I'm going to call on you to read, so if you'll turn to him, so I don't have to do all the talking, okay?
What is it?
Exodus 25. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong word. Leviticus 25. Thanks, bro.
Verse?
The first few verses.
Which one?
Leviticus 25. Yahweh spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying,
Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I give you, the land shall keep a Sabbath to Yahweh. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its fruits. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to Yahweh. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap what grows of itself in your harvest, or gather the grapes of your undressed vine. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land. The Sabbath of the land shall provide food for you, for yourselves, and for your male and female slaves, and for your hired worker and the sojourner who lives with you, and for the cattle, and for the wild animals that are in your land. All its yield shall be for food.
okay, so we have the weekly Sabbath, and now we have the sabbatical year. You know where we get this term sabbatical, when teachers go on sabbaticals? Mm-hmm. It's the idea that they work so many years and then they get a year off so that they can go write books and read and do other things that will contribute to their profession. But it's called a sabbatical year. It's built into contracts often. And so this is where the concept comes from. But remember, in the Exodus journey, God had to provide the food for the people because whatever food they brought out of Egypt at the beginning was soon exhausted. It would last for only a few days. And so they got hungry and they began to say, hey, what we got to eat? You know, things look a little bare around here. And God sent them food. And for 40 years, he fed the people. Every morning, there would be manna on the ground. Now, manna means, what is it? They didn't know what it was. It was something that looks like coriander, if you want to know what it is. It would appear on the grass or on wherever it would be, and they had to gather it and collect it. I don't know how they prepared it, but they ate it, and it sustained their life. But on the 6th day, they would get a double portion. There would be enough of it that they could gather enough for 2 days. Now, if you try to gather more than 1 day's worth on the other days of the week, whatever you tried to keep overnight would turn into worms. So the next morning, it'd be unfit. You couldn't eat it. But on the 6th day, you had to gather twice the portion, and it remained fresh so that you would have the food for Sabbath. Because on the Sabbath day, you were not to go out and work. You weren't to gather or to prepare. You were to eat what had already been provided. So God was teaching them dependence upon him, that he is the provider. And when you get to the land, he says you're going to go into the land and it's going to be rich and it's going to be overflowing with vegetables and fruits and all that you need to eat and drink. But don't forget the Lord your God. That's built into it. And so the Sabbath year was that what happened to them weekly in the feeding was to happen to the land every 7 years. You were to till it 6 years in a row. That is, you would plant your crops. You would gather your crops, including the wine, the grapes for wine, and the other food that you would need to eat. But the 7th year, you were not to go out and plant or to gather. You were to let the land lay fallow. It just go to nature. But what would happen was that from the other years where seeds had fallen on the ground and things, during that year, things would grow spontaneously on their own. You could gather from that. And so in the Sabbath year, God's telling them, you don't sow this year. You need to let the grass and the crops just grow on its own. It's a year of solemn rest for the land. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up, if you're wondering, is because this is the reason, one of the major reasons God gives for the people being taken into exile. Now, last week, you read the passage for us that I think it's found in Chronicles, isn't it? The end of one of the Chronicle passages that talks about the invasion. You remember where that was? I think it must be 2nd Chronicles.
Probably Kings.
At any rate, in that passage, we're told that one of the reasons the people are removed from the land is so that the land could have its rest. It was 2nd Chronicles chapter 36 was what you read, and I'm not sure if it has this particular reasoning given to it. But it did give us this summary in 2 Chronicles 36, verse 15. The Lord, that is Yahweh, the God of their fathers, sent persistently to them by his messengers because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. That is, he sent the prophets to them to persistently urge them to repentance for faithful obedience to the commandments. But they kept mocking the messengers of God, despising his words, scoffing at his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord, the wrath of Yahweh, rose against his people until there was no remedy. Therefore, he brought up against them the king of the Chaldeans, who killed their young men with a sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion on young man or virgin, old man or aged. He gave them all into his hand, and all of the vessels of the house of God, great and small, the treasures of the house of Yahweh, and the treasures of the king and of his princes. All these he brought to Babylon. And they burned the house of God, and burned all of its palaces with fire, destroyed all of its precious vessels. He took into exile in Babylon those who had escaped from the sword, and they became servants to him and to his sons until the establishment of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of Yahweh by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed its Sabbaths. There it is right there. Until the land had enjoyed its Sabbaths. All the days that it lay desolate, it kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. Now multiply 7 times 70. What do you have?
490?
490 or 480?
90.
90 years. That was how long the people were in the land until Babylon came. The kingdoms had been in the land, north and south. And because they had not fulfilled this commandment, Israel did not keep the Sabbath year 1 year after they came into the land. They kept the weekly Sabbath, but they did not keep the yearly Sabbath. Why do you think they did not keep the yearly Sabbath?
Oh, it's hard.
Every 7 years.
That sounds like one of the hardest commands that I would be able. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, why?
You gotta make money.
Okay,
You gotta eat.
okay.
And maybe they didn't trust God enough because they relied on their land. Who knows?
That sounds reasonable. But what would have prepared them to be able to do that?
Trusting Him.
No, what had, action-wise, what had God done for 40 years?
To remember?
He provided food on
He
the
provided
Sabbath.
food for them. And on the 6th day, they had double portion, so that on the 7th day, when they could not gather, could not cook, they had food to eat. So on the weekly Sabbath, they didn't gather. There was a total rest. And on the 7th year is the same principle. And the idea is that God, who is the Lord over the earth as he is over his people, would provide for them by the natural things that were there that just grew on its own. Then after the 7th year, they would go back to the planting and reaping again. So it's the idea of the trust in God, right? To believe that the Lord is the one who will provide, and that he will provide through this natural cycle that he has set up. At any rate, that's what 2 Chronicles said. That one reason for the exile was to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. So Jeremiah is the prophet that the land had enjoyed until the land had enjoyed its Sabbaths. When that period of time was up, the 70 years, and Jeremiah talks about that in his prophecies. I haven't looked that particular verse up for us, but he tells them that 70 years is coming to a close. And the reason I'm going through all this is because this is what prompts what's going to be happening.
Just to be clear.
I'm sorry.
70 years or 490 years?
490 years is what the land was to have been enjoying its rest every 7th year.
Oh, so they
But people had been in the land. They had been there after the
Okay.
Exodus. They had been in the land 490 years. And the land, they never rested because they never let it rest. So God says, I'm going to take you out of the land, and the land can rest. And to make up, it's going to be 70 years. So for every year that they had lived in the land, in other words, the other one we multiply 7 times 70. So now you have to do the reverse math, and we have 70 years. I'm not sure exactly where, if I could read this.
Wait, so
Yes.
they got it from Egypt, the 430 years that they were slaves, and then they went kept it again.
Yes, but only for 70 years.
Well, 70 years is a lot of years.
Yes.
too.
But it's better than
That's a
490.
lifetime.
No, they were slave for 490. They were 430.
Yeah. But the reason for the exile given here was that they didn't let the land rest. And the other that we'd mentioned, the idolatry. The people constantly fell into idolatry. Now remember, this is from our past study. Assyria had come in to the northern kingdom area called Israel, and they had taken those people away. But now those people were not allowed to live in colonies. They dispersed them so that they were destroyed their continuity. But the Babylonians allowed the people to live in colonies so that they could maintain their identity. And Babylon also had the policy of adoption of the best from the land for the service of Babylon. Now, this is sort of review some from last week. So, Babylon invades the land in two different stages. The first, they come in and they take only what I call the cream of the crop. They took those that were intellectual, those that had training, who were educated, and who had wealth. They took them away, leaving the rest in the land. The rest in the land are there. There's a lot of good people still left in the land. And Jeremiah is the prophet who is prophesying during all of this time. So if you turn to the prophecy of Jeremiah, most of it is being carried on at this time, right before Babylon comes in the first time, and during those years between the first and second deportation. We call those deportations. So the first one was of an elite group. We'll call them an elite group. The second deportation was that they just wholesale took the people out, leaving only those that were mingling freely with other groups, etc. And it was during this period of time, by the way, that the Samaritans, we hear the Samaritans in the New Testament, came up. The Samaritans was a union of the Jews to the tribal people that were there. That produced the Samaritans. And the Samaritans, that's up in the northern Israel that had already been removed. They developed their own society. They had their own religion. It was Jewish, but a little different because they had their own temples, etc. Well, this is why they're in the land, and this is why the 70 years is important. Now, I'm going over this because 70 years is very important in the understanding of Daniel, and we're going to come across it more than once. Remember also, what do we mean when we talk about apocalyptic literature? What exactly is apocalyptic literature? It's okay to guess. You don't have to be something I told you. Apocalyptic? I can't hear you.
What did we learn?
She's saying prophetic. She's saying prophetic.
Prophetic?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Maybe.
It could be.
Maybe.
Prophetic literature often uses apocalyptic as a medium. But prophecy doesn't have to be an apocalyptic. In other words, I can simply prophesy and say, God has said that you are going to be married next year. You're going to live in Nevada. You're going to do this, that, and another, okay, that kind of thing. That would be a direct prophecy, right? I'm not giving one, by the way. But if apocalyptic, I wouldn't be saying it directly. How would I be saying it if I'm using apocalyptic literature?
Perfect example, when we were talking about it the second week after you guys left, in Revelations, it says the apocalypso, I think, of Jesus Christ. The revealing, the unveiling, the showing of, so it's showing, revealing, making.
But how?
You see by visions.
There you go.
Symbols.
Visions and symbols. Puzzles even. Visions, visionary, dreams, visionary experiences. So we're going to encounter that in Daniel. And in fact, in tonight's focus lesson, Daniel chapter 2, we have the first of the dreams that are given in the book of Daniel. Now, what's different and unusual about this dream, with reference to the book, is that the first one who dreams a dream is not Daniel. The first one to dream a dream is not a follower of Yahweh.
Yeah.
He is the conqueror, actually the son, I think, of the conqueror. He may have been the conqueror, the son of the conqueror, who brought these people into captivity. If we look in Daniel, let's look at Daniel chapter 1. This is just so we can get a little time frame. Jeremiah, Lamentations, Daniel. No, Ezekiel.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel was also a prophet of the captivity, but Ezekiel is in Babylon. Daniel is in Babylon. Ezekiel is in Babylon. Jeremiah is in Israel, Palestine. So we have three major prophets, all prophesying during this period of the time of the captivity. So in Daniel chapter 1, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem, besieged it, and the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with some of the vessels of the house of God. And he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and placed the vessels in the treasury of his God. Now, what is startling about that sentence? What do you find that's you're not expecting to find in that sentence? We have Babylon coming in to Jerusalem and besieges it. And then it says, because of its superior war power, or what does it say? What language is used?
Verse 2.
Why was Nebuchadnezzar able to take Jerusalem? Why was he able to destroy the temple? Why was he able to take off all the holy vessels into his land and put them in the house of his God? Isn't this horrible? Isn't this blasphemous?
It says in verse 2
Verse
that
2, yeah.
the Lord,
Hand it
Yahweh,
over.
the Lord gave Jehoiakim into his hand.
What'd you say?
I say hand it over.
By who?
The Lord.
God handed Jerusalem and his people over to Nebuchadnezzar. We're not expecting that, are we? If you're God's chosen people, God's covenant people, and he's established his ways with you, you don't think that he's going to just let you be besieged and taken over by a foreign power. For his house of worship to be destroyed, his holy vessels to be used by pagan people. This is not what we expect. How do you think the Babylonians looked at them on this? They had their gods who are coming against Jerusalem and the God of the Israelites, Yahweh or Jehovah. And they conquer it and they take off the vessels to their land. What is their opinion about what happened?
Their gods are superior.
That's right. Their God is superior to the Hebrews' God. Remember, this is most people, most lands are idolatrous people that have more than one God even. And the Babylonians have more than one God. But they have the god Marduk, a few others whose names I don't recall right now.
Yeah, they do.
I'm sorry? Did you say one of them? One of the
What's it
names?
called? Ishtar, I think.
That's Egyptian.
No. Is it? No.
Yeah, but the
Another
Egyptians
one.
had other gods too,
Yeah.
remember? The Babylonians have the same kind of counterpart. They would think, our God is superior to your God. That's why we were able to defeat you. And look at here. I've taken his holy vessels and I've placed them in the service of my God.
from your temple.
From the temple. So, what do you think, again, considering Daniel chapter 1, the first thing he does is he takes these 4 people, Daniel and 3 of his companions, and he gives them new names. He takes away their Hebrew names, and he gives them Babylonian names. What's he trying to do?
Like erase their god.
I'm sorry?
Erase their god
Mm.
because like their
You mean
names.
the identity?
Yeah,
Identity,
like their names, like point back to like God.
Yeah, he gives them the names of his gods.
Yeah.
He takes away the names they had, which, by the way, were reference to their gods.
Yeah.
And he educates them for 3 years. He puts them in school for 3 years to learn everything they can about the Chaldean society, the language, the literature, the philosophy, and their ways. Now, these particular ones, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they're all put up in palaces in a great housing arrangement with the best of the food, the same food the king is served every day, and the wine. They're not being treated like jailbirds. They're being treated almost like honored guests. What's his goal? We have to have this in mind to understand Daniel 2. What is his goal?
Change their identity. I think that's
To, like,
Changing their identity?
assimilate.
But what do we call it when you go from one society into another society? And in going to the second society, you forget about your previous society and you become only a full participant of the new society.
Assimilate.
You got the word. Assimilate. Assimilation. His policy is assimilation. You bring them in, you give them the best, you give them training, and you turn them into Babylonians, to Chaldeans, by means of education and by means of giving them not
Treatment. Yeah.
rations of prisoner, but good food from the king's table. Treating them as honored guests. Yes, Mercy?
No, just like what you said, like they treat them like instead of like how usually they would like prisoners or like average citizens, like they're treated as honored guests.
Right. So, what do you expect this should engender, bring forth in the lives of these men? There are others, but these are the ones singled out for us. What do you think the king is looking for?
they're going to be loyal citizens, maybe.
Loyal citizens. He's going to put them in charge of things. He's training them.
Brainwash them, maybe?
He says, for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and in wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. And at the end of the time, they should be brought in before the king. And there they would stand before Nebuchadnezzar, and he would approve of them or disapprove of them. He would inquire, and then he would assign them positions of responsibility in his kingdom. Yes.
I know this is probably digging way too deep, maybe.
May not.
But the devil uses people,
Uh-huh.
these kings, these kingdoms, to do like a counterfeit version of what God does. Right? First, God transfers people into his kingdom. He gives them new names. Or he says, I will give you new names, right? He gives us a new identity.
In Christ.
We are pretty much to know our new identity and become our new identity so we can be loyal citizens
Of the kingdom
it's
of God.
like a counterfeit version of what God does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we have a ceremony for that, right?
Of baptism.
Baptism. That's where we transfer kingdoms and transfer loyalty. And we're to be trained as citizens of the kingdom of God. That's called discipleship. Okay, so this is the background. But now it begins, Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel chapter 2. In the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. Now, up here, it says, in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar the Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And there's something, okay, is it the second year or the third year? But it says in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. So the way the Babylonian royalty ascended, you had your king, and he had a son. Usually they're the firstborn. They would become heirs to the throne. You think about this in England, although the kings there are now just shadow figures. But in the past, the king was the total ruler. And the prince, the particular prince, is going to be the one who will succeed and become the king after him. Sometimes the one that's going to become the king after begins to exercise royal authority before the other one fully retires, maybe because of age or whatever reason. So, but in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. Now, this dream, it says, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, plural. His spirit was troubled, and sleep left him. So let's have a point of connection. Have you ever had a dream that disturbed you so much that it kept you awake? Or could it be a reoccurring dream, or just a dream that was so vivid that, it just interrupted your thinking? So what was your experience of that? You don't have to tell us the dream, or you can if you want.
Like experience on like how I felt.
What did you see?
Well, I felt like it was a nightmare, but I felt like it was a really like symbolic dream in my life.
Uh-huh.
In my dream, I was being chased. Basically, I was being chased, like the guy that was in my dream was trying to murder me. And it was like symbolic to me because this was the guy that was chasing me was someone who did do harm to me in my life. So it felt like really like a nightmare, and like I felt like I was being chased, like he really wanted me dead. And then I think I was being like kidnapped in my dream, and then I escaped, but I was running, but I could see he was chasing after me. But then out of nowhere in my dream, there were like a bunch of these people saying that like God is here, Jesus saves, and they were all surrounding me. But prior to that, I felt like no one was helping me. I was banging at the door of the police station. I was being ignored. But it was like these people who surrounded me that like, until like the guy that was chasing me, he ran away. So it felt like a really huge, like, I guess, it didn't trouble me. It was like a huge reminder in my life, like, God is with me, that God has people in my life to protect me and be there for me.
Now,
So I guess it was awesome.
if you're thinking about that dream, how would you interpret that dream?
Well, how I interpreted it was that there are people in my life that God has brought to show and remind me that He does care about me and that He is with me.
Okay, so you had no trouble interpreting it.
Well, I feel like it's kind of straightforward because I have faith.
Remember,
in God
but you were
before.
able to connect it.
I was able to
connect it.
Yeah.
Now, you're studying psychology, or you're planning to study psychology, and I've studied psychology.
Yeah.
We have a whole area of dream interpretation in psychology. So there are certain things that reoccur in people's dreams. You're able, through annotation analysis, to be able to identify that certain things in dreams signify certain feelings. Now, I don't know that that's what the Chaldeans did, because they weren't this scientifically oriented. But the dream bothered you.
Well, yeah. Like I was about to be murdered.
And when you awake, though, and when you were dreaming, did you know you were dreaming?
No, like it felt like really real.
It was very real. Okay. Well, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was troubled, and sleep left him. Then what happened? Can you read, Jeff?
All right, verse 2. Then the king commanded that the magicians, the enchanters, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans be summoned to tell the king his dreams. So they came in and stood before the king. And the king said to them, I had a dream, and my spirit is troubled to know the dream. Then the Chaldeans said to the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the word from me is firm. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins. But if you show the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and its interpretation.
Okay, so stop. The king, he should have given their society, their religion, recourse, because the magicians, the enchanters, the sorcerers, this whole class of people are employed by the king, who can give meanings of visions and dreams. And so he summons them. And so they came, all of them. Well, Daniel isn't there. So all of them that were available, I guess, came, and they stood before the king. Now, what is unusual about what the king's requesting? He's not requesting, he's commanding. What's unusual? What does he say? This is not the way it works.
He said, tell me the dream.
Okay. In other words, he doesn't say, this is what I dreamed, now tell me its meaning. He says, tell me what I dreamed, and then tell me the meaning. Why do you think he made that kind of request?
Probably was tired of them maybe just making stuff up.
All right, so he's not so sure that when they speak, they're really speaking the truth.
Or they just,
Or this dream was so troubling to him
right.
that he said, I really need to know that you really know what you're talking about.
Right, this is not a regular dream.
And they said in Aramaic, now this is interesting because the book of Daniel is written in two different languages. Chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2 is written in Hebrew. Chapter 2, at least beginning at verse 4, on through to chapter, at least through chapter 5, is written in Aramaic, not Hebrew. And then in the latter half of the book, chapter 7 and on, it is written again in Hebrew. Now that's unusual. There's no other book of the Bible like this. It uses two languages, Aramaic and Hebrew.
You know, the king, he probably had suspicions as to the integrity of these sorcerers and enchanters. He probably didn't really trust them in his previous dealings with them. So he wanted to be sure that they really knew what they were talking about. So he wasn't going to tell them what the dream was.
Well, they have a good retort. What do they say? O king, live forever. It's a good way to start, right? Tell your servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans. Now, depending on your translation, the next few words can be this way. The dream is gone from me. The ESV has it, the word from me is firm. If you're looking at a King James Version, I believe it says the dream has gone from me, or escapes me. So, in other words, it could be like, I've forgotten the dream. I don't know what it is. Now, if you believe the person has forgotten the dream, and he doesn't have any recollection, then I could dream a dream for him, right? And tell his meaning. But now, ESV says, the word from me is firm. So in the context, it's not that I've forgotten the dream, but this is what I'm saying. You make known to me the dream, and you tell me its meaning. And if you can't do that, I am going to have you murdered, executed. That's what it is. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins as a threat of murder, execution, royal execution. On the other hand, but if you show the dream and its interpretation, you'll receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. So this is what we call this a carrot and stick approach. Therefore, show me the dream and its interpretation. Now, if you were one of these magicians, and this is your situation, what would be your response, your interpretation, your reaction?
Go back.
Don't be afraid to speak. Speak up.
Scared.
I'm dead.
I'm dead. Okay.
Start
I'm
packing.
dead. Why would you say that?
Because I can say anything I want without backing up.
Mhm.
Because he have like, this is smart. When he say, tell me my dream first.
Yeah, tell me
And
my
then
dream.
In the interpretation of that.
Now, if I believe the dream has escaped him, then I can make you up maybe, and maybe he'll believe it. But he's not actually saying that. He says, my word is firm. You tell me the dream and its meaning,
Yeah.
and your choice is this. Either tell me and you live, or don't tell me and you die.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look at the other
Chaldeans,
the other
magicians.
Chaldean magicians were like, "You got this. You're better than me. You can do this.
Yeah,
better
they
than I
look at-
can, right?
You don't have to. You have to get the first one right and the
Right.
second one
right,
too. So
That's right.
Double things a danger to you.
I know you were false.
Yeah,
Go tell him.
yeah.
Yes, so it's just a test, isn't it? About
Yeah.
how much do you truly know, and are you in touch with the gods or not? Remember, he's a pagan. But what happens? He says, therefore, show me the dream and its interpretation. And they answered a second time. And what did they say?
Let the king tell his servants to dream, and we will show you its
It's
show its
scary.
interpretation.
So they repeat, just tell us the dream. Just tell us what you saw, and we can give you the true interpretation.
They'd be mad probably. Right?
The king answered and said, I know with certainty. This is politics, by the way. Just think politics, because that's what's going on here, politics. The king answered and said, I know with certainty that you are trying to gain time, because you see that the word from me is firm. It's settled. If you do not make the dream known to me, there is but one sentence for you. Only one. You have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words before me till the times change. He's calling a spade a spade. I know you're just asking for time so that you can make up something.
Mm.
That's what he's saying. But I know you'll be real. If you can tell me my dream, then I can trust your interpretation. Okay? And what's their response?
There is not a man on earth who can meet the king's demand.
Mm-hmm.
For no great and powerful king has asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter of Chaldean. The thing that the king asks is difficult, but no one can show it to the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh.
Whoa. Now that's a true word spoken.
Right? The only true words they probably ever spoke to him.
And there's not a man on earth that can do what you're asking us to do. Name the society, name the culture, name the king. Nobody, no country, no king, no kingdom has ever asked such things from their magicians, from their counselors. Nobody. So it's just not possible. Only the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh, can tell the king his dream and its meaning. What do you think about his statement? Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does the Christian gospel have to say with reference to this challenge? There is not a man on earth who can meet the king's demand, for no great and powerful king has asked such a thing of any magician, enchanter, or Chaldean. The thing the king asks is difficult. No one can show it to the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. He's saying this is not possible because the distance between the gods and us. Only the gods know. What do we say about Jesus Christ and the revelation of God? Who is Jesus?
God in flesh.
All right. God, the Word, has come down
Who dwelling not
to make known to us the Father.
The gods whose dwelling is not with flesh.
Yeah, but Jesus was.
Yeah.
God dwelling in flesh.
But God came and dwelt among us
Yes.
in the flesh. John 1, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Yes.
We've seen his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Well, here's the king's response. Michael, could you read it for us, beginning at verse 12? So, in other words, we're answering, how does the king take their response?
Because of this, the king was angry and very furious.
Let's speak louder.
Because of this, the king was angry and very furious, and commanded that all the wise men of Babylon be destroyed. So the decree went out, and the wise men were about to be killed, and they sought Daniel and his companions to kill them.
So to look at the charge, these are the agents of the king. He's gone out, he's knocking on the doors, he's entering the palaces, and he's looking for Daniel and his companions because they also are to be killed. Go on.
Then Daniel replied with
Prudence.
and
Discretion.
to
Arioch,
the captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon. He declares to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree of the king so urgent? Then Arioch made the matter known to Daniel, and Daniel went in and requested the king to appoint him a time that he might show the I can't pronounce that word,
Interpretation.
Interpretation.
to the king.
You got it. Interpretation. Interpretation to the king.
To the king.
So they're coming to gather up the people to execute them. So here's Daniel and his companions. The king makes no distinction. They've been trained in the school of the others, so they just gathered up with all the rest to be executed. Just think of this as capital punishment. The king is killing them because they cannot do what he told them they needed to do. So, how does Daniel react? How would you react? Sometimes we can think, how would I react?
Scared.
Scared? In what way? How would that manifest itself?
I'll pack my things and find them.
Panic. How do we panic? What am I going to do? How can I escape this? What am I going to do?
We don't know because we never been in that situation. How we gonna know how we're gonna feel? Cause we don't know.
Well, we've been in bad situations, haven't we?
Yeah, but not to get killed.
I should change my profession.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No.
Yeah, at that moment, that's
I
oh,
something.
I should change my profession right now.
But I mean, Daniel asks
The two words there,
prudence
he
and
replied
discretion.
with what?
Prudence.
Yeah.
Prudence and discretion. So what are the meanings of those words?
Mm,
Only thing I can think of is wisdom.
prudent.
Prudence, you can look it up. Prudence
Careful.
and discretion. What do you think? It's okay to be wrong.
What words is it?
Prudence.
You may not be wrong, but you're.
Yeah, white prep.
What is prudence?
Yeah,
Someone,
like quick to.
someone or something that acts with careful thought,
Okay.
good judgment.
Yeah, quick to. Yeah.
A prudent approach avoids unnecessary risks.
White prep. White prep.
So very careful.
Right. And okay, let's say
Yeah.
let's do the opposite.
White people.
They come in before Daniel and he's not prudent. What would he do? What do you mean? The king is being unjust. How can he? They'd start questioning the king's order, right?
Careless word. Yeah.
Saying, "Why we weren't even there? We didn't know. We weren't given a chance." They would start making excuses.
Yeah.
But he's careful
You got your head cut right there.
because this is the captain of the king's guard. He can just right there.
Yeah.
Discretion.
He's very
pretty
careful,
much-
and discretion is what?
Pretty much the same thing almost. It can also mean the quality of being careful and tactful.
Ah,
Strategic.
careful and tactful with a wise reply. That's what he means.
To avoid causing offense or revealing sensitive information.
So he asked, "Why is the decree of the king so urgent?
Mm.
What's the hurry to kill us?"
Wow.
And then he's very bold. What does he do? What request does he make?
To point him a time
Meet the king.
To meet the king.
to meet the king.
He makes the matter known to Daniel, and Daniel went in and requested the king to appoint him a time that he might show the interpretation to the king. Why do you think the king gives a positive response to Daniel rather than simply saying, "I've had enough of you magicians. Off with your head"?
Well, the difference between his approach and the others, meaning Daniel didn't say, "Tell me the dream again." He says, "Give me some time," and he will help. He will show him the interpretation, meaning he will also tell him the dream. So he's not like, he's not telling him. He's not saying the same thing. Show me what the dream is, and I'll tell you the interpretation. It's almost like he's telling, "I will tell you the dream too.
But did he know the dream at this time?
No, that's
He did not know. So what is he evidencing in his speech, his request? What is he evidencing?
discretion.
No, besides that,
Trust in God.
yes, trusting it, faith.
Yeah.
He has to believe that God will give him the dream, God will let him dream the dream that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed, so that he can then tell the king.
Right.
He's asking for a miracle. He's believing for a miracle. He's not asking for it. He's actually asserting, just give me time that I might, the word is, I might show the interpretation to the king. So now what's Daniel's first reaction now that he's bartered for some time? Beginning at verse 17. Mercy, would you like to read verse 17?
Okay.
Okay.
Speak loudly.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the matter known to
Hananiah.
Hananiah, Mishael,
Mm-hmm.
who's that one?
Azariah.
Azariah.
His companions. And he told them to seek mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that Daniel and his companions might not be destroyed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision of the night. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belong wisdom and might. He changes time and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me the wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we asked of you. For you have made known to us the king's matter.
Amen.
Okay, stop there. So what's the first thing that Daniel does after his audience with the king?
He goes home and tells his companions.
All right, he goes to his companions. He tells them what has happened. And the first action they do is what?
He tells them to seek mercy.
So he wants them to, what's the word? So the little word that has 4 words in it.
Pray.
Pray. He said, this is a matter that we need to seek God. Let us pray. Let's seek mercy. How do you seek mercy from the God of heaven? You ask for it. And that's called prayer. It's talking to God. I'm speaking to him and I'm telling him, Lord, you know this situation. You know what we need. You're speaking, conversing with God. And they're asking specifically. Daniel asks a specific. He's not asking for general. Look, if your prayers are all general to God, then you're going to get general answers. You have particular prayers, you can get particular answers. General only gets general back. But in particular, you do have the opportunity that God will give you particular. So Daniel needs to see the vision. I need the vision, Lord. I need to see it. And said, what's the first action after prayer? What do they do next? What do you call the indention words in the Bible here? It starts with, blessed be the name of God forever and ever.
Oh, after he reveals it, he blesses God, praises him.
In the night, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Daniel blessed the God of heaven. And Daniel answered and said, so this is Daniel's praise. He's giving glory to God. Let's read it. Can you read it with me? Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belongs wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and set up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness,
and the
light
light
dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have made known to me what you ask of you, and you have made known to us the king's matter. So this is giving praise, is worshiping God by speaking to God about God, speaking to him of what he does and of his nature, and glorying in it. What teaching about God and God's nature is found in Daniel's praise? What do you see? He says of God, to whom belongs wisdom and might. So what is that? God knows how much?
Everything.
Everything. We call that omniscience. All science, all knowledge. He changes times and seasons. He removed kings and set up kings. What do we call that?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Rulership. He is omnipotent. He has all power. And he's sovereign. He brings about who he wants. You know, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about this election or the previous election. The one who ultimately was in the White House or is in the White House is there by the appointment of God. He's also going to have to answer to God. This one, and the one before, and the one before that. We can think about Putin in Russia. Because here we're dealing with enemies of God's people. But even the enemies of God's people, they cannot be there unless God has allowed them to be there. And if he's allowed someone to be there, then they will give an accounting to him. And he uses sometimes that which is, I don't know how to say it, he uses that which is evil in our world, in our fallen society, to discipline others who belong to him because they have not repented and not lived in accordance with his will. That happens on individual basis. It happens on national basis. I can't help but think about, it seems to me that this year, 2026, has had more natural disasters going across the country in different areas of the country than I've ever noticed before. Now, maybe I'm just was not blind to it, but it seems to me that up north, especially where they don't usually have tornadoes and all this stuff of heat waves, that's seldom. But now we seem to be one after another. And then I think about the prophets of old. They talked about Israel, and they would talk about the same kind of things, that God was sending natural kind of disaster to try to awaken the people. Now, I don't know that that's what's happening, but it makes me think about that, you know. But God, he brings about change. To him belongs the times and seasons. He's also the source of wisdom. So Daniel's acknowledging that what wisdom I have, God has given it to me. You have given it to me. You've made known to me deep and hidden things, because you alone know what's in the darkness, because in you is light. You dwell in light. The New Testament takes up that refrain. We hear it in John's Gospel in chapter 1, and we hear it in 1 John, the epistle of John. He says straight out, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Then to you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise. He says the words, thank you. I praise you. because you've given me wisdom and might. You've made known to me what we ask of you. He specifically, you heard my prayer to show me the king's vision, and you've done exactly that. You've shown me what the king saw. You've made known to us the king's matter. Now, the fact that he includes us means that he is telling this to his companions, and they may very well be joining him in this praise. So what's the next thing? Daniel goes to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise man of Babylon. He's the executioner. He's the one who must carry out the king's command to kill the wise men. So he's been sent to kill Daniel and his companions. So now, the reason that Arioch listened to him, give me one natural reason why he might have, and then a divine reason why he might have.
Just another day at work. He didn't feel like doing his job that day. No.
You think that?
No, he probably didn't want to kill them.
Did we meet him before?
He already.
He's not the same guy.
He already knew them.
He already was pro how God did to them when they didn't want to eat the.
That's right. That's right, Ruth. He had seen in action that God had been with Daniel and his companions. Because remember in the test from last week,
I don't know if it's the same. This is the chief.
Oh, he's
Of the
not. Oh,
eunuchs.
he's not the same guy.
it may not be, but there is communication between
Of
them.
the king's guard, yeah. But I'm sure there is.
He's
like,
heard
they're all
of this
in the
matter.
Same palace. Yeah.
They all heard of it because remember, they were brought before the king. They had to be tested. After 10 days, they said, give us a test. We're just going to eat vegetables and drink water and not eat the king's fare that he's given for us. And at the end of the 10 days, we'll be judged. If we've lost weight, if we don't look good, if we're weak, we'll eat what the king sets before us. But if not, then let us continue this diet.
Oh, they same have different names.
Yeah, it's probably. But he didn't want to kill probably either.
Well, Daniel has been known. Remember, this is 3 years. 3 years has passed. And we're not sure how many after that because it's at the end of the 3 years anyway. He's already been brought before the king. And he's already been installed as one of the counselors of the king. But he's come to kill them. I don't know that he just went in and killed them himself. He would make arrangements for it. I doubt if he killed all the wise men, there'd be 400 of them or more. But he would arrange for them to be executed. We don't know how many had been destroyed by the time he got to Daniel, if any. But it says, so the decree went out and the wise men were about to be killed. And they sought Daniel. So they had not yet started killing the wise men because it says were about to be killed. They were getting things lined up. Okay? When Daniel replies with prudence and discretion to Arioch the king, captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon. God gave Daniel, he gave to Arioch an acceptance, an attitude that would listen to Daniel and would grant Daniel what he's asking. So we call this, what is the word that we use for when God makes arrangements and carries them out? What is that word? We can use it in reference to
Providence.
providence. Exactly, providence. And what's the meaning of the word providence if I look it up? Can you look up providence for us? What is the meaning of providence? I go over these words so that when we're reading the Bible again, we can connect the meaning of the words because, you know, we do read the Bible, and as we're reading the Bible, we come across words. We don't know immediately the meaning of it, but we need to finish with our reading, so we go on with the reading. So I'm wanting us to stop and think, okay, what does that mean?
I suspect the word providence is built on the same root as provide.
Okay. Provide in what way, though?
Oh, there it is. No.
What is it?
Protective care or supreme power directing human destiny.
It has to do with direction. There must be another meaning.
She said destiny, directing human destiny.
I heard that.
Okay.
But there has to be a more general, where God is working through
Divine guidance or care.
divine guidance and care. And he does it even through the natural order, arrangement of the natural order.
Like God conceived as the power sustaining and guiding human destiny.
Okay?
Yeah,
His face in the
I will. That I couldn't even.
I'm waiting. Don't keep us in suspense. Okay, therefore,
I couldn't disagree with even a little bit, because if he can give Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief,
executioner.
In the sight of the chief of the eunuchs, why couldn't it be God again giving Arioch, some favor to
Right.
Daniel to
And
be
he
able
did.
to talk to him?
And then at the end, after Daniel receives the king's dream, he goes to Arioch and asks him about seeing the king. And Arioch brought in Daniel before the king.
Just a second.
Yeah, I'm waiting a
It
second.
says, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a revelation that he has some concern for these other
Yes.
Babylonians. They don't want them to be killed.
Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon.
Yeah.
Bring me in before the king. I will show the king the interpretation. He went to Arioch. He's asking him to arrange an audience with the king.
I think he's showing compassion toward his fellow man, not wanting these people to be killed.
Well, that's right. And so Arioch brings it before the king in haste. Why would it be in haste?
Oh, this is a serious matter.
Because God wants, Nebuchadnezzar wants him killed, right?
It's an emergency.
That's right. It's an emergency. That's right. It's emergency. He went in haste and said to him, I found among the exiles from Judah a man who will make known to the king the interpretation. And the king declared to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, are you able to make known to me the dream that I've seen and its interpretation? Can you do what I've asked? And Daniel answered the king and said,
Yeah.
no wise man, enchanters, magicians, or astrologers can show to the king the mystery that the king has asked. Now you can think with the king, that's what I heard from the others. But, thank God for the buts. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. That means the days after you. Your dream and the visions of your head as you lay in the bed are these. And we're going to stop because we'll have to explore the dream the next time. But notice that when Daniel goes in, he doesn't say, I got it. I can tell you. He says, the God of heaven. He's the only one. It's true, these other gods and these people cannot make known what the king is asking. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mystery. And he's made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head as you lay in bed are these. And then he tells Nebuchadnezzar what he saw. To you, O king, as you lay in bed, came thoughts of what would be after this. In other words, he's thinking, what will follow me? What's going to happen? When I'm no longer on the throne, what's going to happen? He's hoping his son will be able to carry on things. And who reveals mysteries made known to you what is to be? But as for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because of any wisdom that I have, more than all the living, but in order that the interpretation may be made known to the king, and that you may know the thoughts of your mind. I'm doing this because God wants to reveal something to you. God's going to answer your anxiety. He's going to tell you. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Daniel before the king, telling the mystery.